Now, Erin, well done to you. Hallelujah to you, particularly on your show last night, as always, because you said what I was screaming on the inside about China, which was all these people hailing that, oh, we finally got a meeting, it's all okay. Now, look, meeting's better than no meeting, but all of this was a flex from the bigger guy in the room to remind, hey, if you play nice, we can give you $20 billion worth of trade. If you don't, we'll slowly squeeze you. Yet people made this out. I mean, that Peter Hartcher nonsense that this was the capitulation of China, come on.
Honestly, it is ridiculous. And look, dialogue is always a good thing. And the one thing that we learned out of the horrific situation in Iraq is that you've got to keep talking. We stopped talking to the Iraqis and we ended up in a war that cost a lot of lives and was a complete waste in so many different ways. China, I figure it's almost like a cheating boyfriend that you decide to take back. And it sounds silly, but you've got to have conversation. You can't go in completely paranoid. You can't be completely non-trusting of them because it's just not going to work. But you've got to exercise a degree of caution. And I just think it's ridiculous. They spoke to a lot of other countries as well. It wasn't just us. I don't think we've done anything incredibly grand or amazing that's meant they've said, oh, let's forgive you. I mean, remember what happened with COVID when Scott Morrison came out and said, essentially, let's investigate. Not something minor, something that completely crippled the entire world.
Yep.
And they decided to shove that amount of trade sanctions on us. I mean, these are not people that we can completely trust. We've got to work with them. We've got to try. But let's not hail this as, the most amazing thing in the world, because it's not, unfortunately.
No, I'm with you. I mean, Joe, again, as the elbow whisperer here, help me out. Look, again, I just don't think that there's any way a polite exchange with China is going to go wrong. But for some of the people to pretend that it's all completely okay when there's no framework for more meetings, there's no promise of the takeaway of trade stuff. If all of that happens, great. I actually will be one of the first to say well done. But we didn't do anything wrong.
We didn't do anything wrong. In fact, we did everything right, and the new government also did everything right. Anthony Albanese and the Australian government didn't go cap in hand to China and say, can we have a meeting now? We're not the other guys. They came to us, is my understanding, and it's certainly how it seems to have played out in public as well. I think the Chinese knew that they needed to be able to hit reset without looking like they were weak.
The honourable dismount.
And so the change of government was basically a backdoor for them to be able to retreat and save face at the same time. I think they will go off and do what they want anyway. I think that is completely true, as Erin and her guest said the other night. But that sort of, in a sense, doesn't really matter. They were always going to do that anyway, and the PM has been very clear that when they do that, Australia will stand up. And it did stand up. And it also didn't... The Chinese were very, very quick to congratulate the Albanese government, say, hey, we want to be friends again, and they held back. They didn't do anything. And the problem with the Morrison government's, the former Foreign Minister's announcement about wanting to have an inquiry into the origins of COVID-19, perfectly legitimate, but it blindsided the Chinese. It took them by surprise. And politics...
How do you think we feel about a global pandemic where they had international flights going but no domestic ones? We were a little blindsided.
We all know that, but the reason why they responded so ferociously, and there would have probably been some kind of response, and they probably would have stonewalled it anyway, but the reason why they responded so ferociously is that there wasn't a dialogue there wasn't a framework there to say, just so you know, you're not going to like it, but just so you know, we are going to back this independent international inquiry.